Are there moments of your life that you will always cherish? If so, do you mind sharing one or two of those stories?
Well, of course, there are all kind of moments that you cherish, and it's a matter of just kind of bringing them all into effect. And of course, with me meeting Rusty, being able to get married to her and whatnot, and coming into a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, all of those. And then I was able to have really good jobs wherever I went, throughout life. And we've just made so many good friends. And then, of course, when your children come along and then follow that with your grandchildren and all, it just makes life not a big circus. Sometimes it is a circus, but it makes it all very exciting, and you're just waiting to see what the next chapter is. I look at life in chapters, this chapter works, and then I close that chapter and start working on the next. But you can always go back, just like with the book, you can always open the book and go back and see what you need to improve on.
What chapter of life are you in now?
I guess most people would have to say I was on the downhill slide, but I don't feel that way. I don't feel old at all. I wonder, I wake up and I wonder, what does it feel like to be old? And I'm not trying to be braggadocious about that, but I am in good health and, able to ride and do all of these things. I can't do as many things as I used to, but I'm still pushing forward. I've got to keep going because when Peter is 16, that's when I'll be 100. So I've got to wait and see that boy become a teenager.
That's a good goal.
Right.
Yeah. If you could do anything you wished, what would it be?
Well, see, that'd have to be pretty selfish, wouldn't it? But if I could do anything I wanted to, I think I would like to have a little ranch in Montana with a stream running through it, some trout in the stream, and a herd of beef cows over in this pasture, and the stallion and its mares over there, and a lot of firewood, and of course having Rusty there with me and always available for the children and grandchildren to come up and spend time for us. But I think that's just a dream. I think my spot in life is right here, and I'm perfectly happy with that. But I do love the mountains in Montana. Rusty's father was born on a homestead in Montana, and so Montana's always had an attraction for all of us.
Was Montana a goal even early before you got into education? And I was curious because it seemed like whenever you worked for the ranches and such, I was curious if you think you were destined to go into education, to have a bigger audience than you might have if you were running a ranch.
I didn't plan it that way anyway. No, that wasn't my plan. So many things just seemed to work out. We did at one point in time, we moved to Montana with the intent of buying a ranch, Rusty's father and whatnot, and then he got sick. And then pretty soon I realized that your education didn't pay for those big ranches, and so then we had to back up and fall back into education. And I think I think I've been well fitted for that.
And this area where we are now, how did you initially pick this spot here in La Mesa?
Well, I didn't pick La Mesa originally. Bobby Rankin, who was head of the Animal and Range Science Department, one of my dearest friends and mentors, he called me when I was in Georgia. He knew I was kind of anxious to get back to the West and told me about the job with the horse program there at New Mexico State. And that's how that developed when we came out and moved into that. And, lived in town for a while, but we always wanted to be outside and have our own place. And this place came up for sale, and that's a whole story all of its own, how all of that happened. But anyway, that we ended up here, and we've been here for about 37 years on this property, and it's home. And I always love to come home. Go over all the world, but the most important thing is coming home.
Looking back over your career, what have you learned about people?
I've learned that people are basically the same wherever you go. I mean, you go to a different country, they have people that they don't agree with, that they don't like and whatnot, and things just go back and forth. And I see that we've changed very little, and that bothers me, that we can't all grow in a more positive manner and serve the Lord the way we should. But people are all pretty much the same. They're good people in every group, and there are people that aren't quite as good. There are people that need help, and there are people that have been helped and whatnot, and so they're pretty much the same the world over. They just speak different languages. And I've been blessed to have a lot of good friends in a lot of different countries.
What have you learned about youth?
About youth? Well, youth are always the future. And unfortunately, today, it bothers me that our youth are so tied up with the technical things like the telephone and this, that, and the other, that they're not going to be able to speak like we were able to through horse judging and reasons and things of this nature. And it bothers me that they're not being a little more forward with their own lives and individual, and yet there are a lot of them that are. But I see that if we don't change our political system, we're in for a lot of trouble.
Ooh, what have you learned about yourself?
I want to say these deeper questions get shorter answers. I think I've learned about myself that I feel very fortunate, and I feel blessed. And I looked up the definition for what does it mean to be blessed, and blessed means to be divinely favored is one of the definitions I found. And I found that God has favored me in so many ways, and I've tried to be faithful to Him, and the more faithful I am to Him, seems like the more I'm blessed. And basically, desire is just to help other people.
If you ever think about your legacy, how do you hope to be remembered?
Well, again, I think it goes back to I hope to be remembered as a person who loved the Lord and followed Him, and that was willing to help all those that needed to be helped. And that's about all I can really think that I need to do.
Any final thoughts? I've asked you a lot of questions. Anything I missed?
Well, it's been a lot of fun for me, and I appreciate it, because growing up and watching you and your sisters and your family and all, it's been exciting to see the way that, we've all been able to be productive and help each other with all of these things. I know your dad helped me with the sale at the college. He was an auctioneer, and you always knew you could depend on Mr. Charlie. And that's a lot the way my dad was. You could depend on him, and I think being able to be depended on is really important. So it's exciting. You and Carrie were much better than most people realize. Y'all are pretty advanced horse people, and we had a lot of fun.
This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for letting me interview you today, and congratulations.
Well, we just appreciate you and Peter being here and doing all of this for us, and just getting to go back through it all. Thank you so much.